X.
Santana,
you're excited.
Yeah, no, I think because we've seen the Brewers play some good baseball, and I think the one question mark, like year after year after year, is kind of the power production of this middle of the order, lineup. And I think if Santana can come over, bring some of that, obviously switch hitter, he can platoon, play first base, DH, whatever he needs to do. But at the same time, to me, the veteran presence is going to be important. And we overlook that a lot of times because of statistics, and it's not something that we can really put down as numbers. But I think having won before, having been a guy that's been in so many different locker rooms, I think he's going to bring that to this team. But ultimately, this is a team that needs another bat. And if he can be a guy that drives the baseball, can give a guy like Yelich some protection, and some of the young guys on this team, remember, this is a young Brewers squad. So if they can use him as that veteran presence and somebody that can man down first base or DH, that's going to be important.
It's a name that quietly helps teams win. I mean, last year he got traded from Kansas City Royals over to the Seattle Mariners. He helped that team make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's going to do the same thing with Milwaukee, especially with Rowdy Tellez going down. He's got 13 home runs. He's hitting .235, which is about as good as anyone else in Major League Baseball right now. So honestly, it's a great pickup by the Brewers and good for Carlos Santana.
Can I share a crazy tweet? Real quick, from Jared Carabas, who's a friend of the show, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, Dansby Swanson, Francisco Lindor, all signed for combined $1.3 billion, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct, yep. They're hitting a combined .246 with an OPS of .733 this season. That's the same offense as 37-year-old Carlos Santana.
I'll still take Trey Turner.
Carlos Santana. Carlos Santana
I mean,
is still hitting better than the Brewers' first basemen are this season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The first basemen are 27th in batting average. There's only two players with an OPS plus above 100 on this team. That's Contreras and Yelich. The Brewers need the extra bat like Santana. Our researcher, Mark Sales, likes to categorize vibes plus. Santana is vibes plus. He adds that extra personality to the locker room. I'm excited that the Brewers are looking like somewhat of buyers. Last year, it made me so mad that the Brewers were sellers at the trade deadline, getting rid of key pieces to their bullpen. The Brewers are still in first place of this division, and
Look at that. They desperately need a first baseman.
Bad.
And Rowdy Tellez has been hurt. He's on the 10-day IL currently with a hand injury. The Brewers need depth, but they need more bats. That's where Milwaukee is going to be able to make that push to win this division.
I look at the Reds, right? They're right up on them.
Right.
But the Brewers are the Reds' daddy.
Well,
Yeah,
they
no,
got the
absolutely.
pitching.
But you still look at if the Brewers fall off a little bit, who's going to be right there? It's the Reds. I'm not saying that the Reds are necessarily a better team, but I'm saying if the Brewers take a step back, the Reds are ready in contention for the top of that division. And also you think about this wild card situation. Both these teams, whether they don't make it in the top of the division, they're going to be liable for a wild card spot. So every game is just as important for both of these squads.
Not to mention, the Reds need to counteract this. The Reds don't need any offensive help. This team has got a very dynamic and young offense, but their pitching, not great. It's not the best pitching staff in Major League Baseball, so quite frankly, if they go and make some moves of some arms that might be out there, hopefully we'll find out who those teams are. Because right now, we look at the sellers out there, it is a bear market right now. We know the White Sox are sellers, but how many more pieces do they really have to sell? We already heard that Dylan Cease isn't going to be moved. So really, the White Sox, you can look at the bullpen. Joe Kelly's a name that comes to mind, but the Dodgers, you can expect them to go after him.
A lot of rumors surrounding Lance Lynn.
A lot of rumors surrounding
Lance Lynn. A lot of people say they can
Lynn.
fix him. But what about Michael Lorenzen, former Red?
Yeah, he's definitely been a name that's been
Why
thrown
not?
out there
Yeah, why not flip him back? I was like, how much FOMO is he having right now?
You gotta understand, I'm a big fan of players returning home. Like, do you see how happy Kike Hernandez looks right now?
We will unpack that a little bit later on in this show.
So happy. Made my heart smile.
Talk about a vibes guy.
I like the Lorenzen name because obviously he fits into a rotation, but also he can be a bullpen guy. He's done both at lots of different times. So the ability to do versatile things, whether it be in a rotation or in a bullpen, I think that's important for a team looking to get a playoff spot too.
We've been busy here on MLB Network for this past week, right, leading up to the deadline. Our insiders are constantly on their phones. I passed this man, one John Heyman, on the way into the building today, and I asked him, hey, what's going on? What are we going to be talking about on the show today? He did say the Pirates are going to be busy, and this is his latest tweet. Yeah, they're getting a lot of hits on Hill, Bednar, Cody Decker. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Keller, obviously it seems like a lot of their pitchers are on the trade block. What makes David Bednar is so special. I feel like he flies under the radar for some reason. A perennial all-star, one of the best closers in baseball.
And he's consistent. Like, he consistently goes out and do it. Like, we talked about the Angels earlier. I can love to see him on the Angels right now. Carlos Estevez has done a very good job as the closer, but at the end of the day, do you want him to be your go-to guy if you're going to be going into the playoffs? If you can get him over there along with Bednar, man, that all of a sudden that bullpen looks a little different all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I'm starting to worry about the Angels, but you got to get your hands on him. Mitch Keller is another name that really comes to mind. He's throwing in the low 4s right now. He can help a team win.
You talked about the Angels before and how they should have, if they traded Ohtani, gotten prospects. The Pirates are a young team that if they can keep acquiring some extra pieces, they showed us that they have so much power to make a push at any given point. The pitching, of course, needs to get better. They brought in Richel this year as a lefty, and he also brought that veteran presence, vibes plus. The Pirates just don't have what it takes to get to the end. However, this team showed so much promise early on.
How fun
it
were
would
they?
be fun to watch the Pirates continue to grow the farm system and maybe get some other pieces that can help them in the future.
I don't want to see them.
O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be important next year. I don't want to see them lose Mitch Keller, though. If they're building a rotation, that's the last guy I want to give away, right?
Your linchpin.
Well,
I'd be the guy that pulls it all together. You build around it.
That's what I want, is them to continue to build around that. Now, Bednar is a guy that I can see, because at any time you can go get a closer if you need to. You can go get a reliever at any point, right? But Bednar, I think, fits in so many different in so many different bullpens because of the consistency, but also what I saw last night. What I saw last night, even against the Padres, like, he got into a little bit of trouble and then was ultimately able to get out of it. It's like nothing shakes this guy, and I think that's what you need when you're talking about a playoff contending team. Okay, we run into a little bit of trouble. No, this guy's going to hold it down. I think that's what you've seen time and time again with Bednar on a team that has not been good.
And here's the bonus: you get 3 years of control.